Okay, so welcome everyone. Do the Bangla Charana and then we'll start our class. Om Jnana Timrandasya Nananjala Shalakaya Chakshuram Unmilitamena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupaha Kadamhiyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vande Aham Shri Guruhu Shri Utapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Shagarajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadhavaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhobhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So today we're going to look at chapter 11, but before that I just thought we should look at this video that has been posted. Can you see this video? Hare Krishna?
Yes, Mataji.
Yes, Mataji.
Yeah, one second, let me go back. So this is the video that they just posted, and it's really interesting. Long time ago when I spoke to Namanishtadas Prabhuji, he said, isn't it right that we must show the deities their new home? So he has accomplished that today, and it's lovely. Just look at the fervor and the energy and the happiness on everyone's face.
Mataji, sound is not there. No.
I don't know why the sound didn't come, but it's a beautiful one. Just see whenever you'll get time, please look through it because it's been posted in our in
our group it is there, Mataji. Antita
nice.
Mataji has put it here.
I mean, the voice of the Prabhuji who's singing, I think it's the Jivatma Prabhu.
No, that is clear in the WhatsApp.
Beautiful. I mean, if you
see
the voice of the Prabhuji, wow, so powerful, huh?
Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Okay, Hare Krishna. So today we are starting chapter 11. It's wonderful. It's so nice that we just have 2 chapters left in the second module, which is the most important section of the Bhagavad Gita. Now we are going to refer to the Veda base today because a lot of it is we're going to read a lot and understand the way Arjuna understands the Vishwarupam or the universal form, the Virata Rupa that he longed to see. So in the last chapters, starting from 7 to until the last chapter, the Lord has been continuously talking about all his energies, his opulences, And then he also says, how he is the essence of everything and his presence being everywhere. He's all pervasive, he's everywhere, and everything emanates from him, or he is the source of everything. And we also read in detail, or we read the whole purport of 10.42. So the Lord, after having said everything to Arjuna about his glories, about his vibhutis and his glories, he says, Arjuna, what is it that you really want to know? Why do you want to know so much? Just understand that with a single fragment of myself, I'm just reading the translation of the verse. With a single fragment of myself, I pervade and support this entire universe. So what are you asking for? So that's how he left it. Now, Arjuna being Arjuna, he doesn't leave anything to chance, or he doesn't leave anything for anyone's doubt. That is one way of looking at it. The other way is Arjuna. We will see that in the purports of this chapter. Prabhupada also says that Arjuna's query is very, very well placed, because he is the first one in the parampara system. Remember in chapter 4, the Lord said that somewhere this entire succession of this knowledge got lost over a period of time. And then he is reviving it here again in this battlefield of Kurukshetra through Arjuna for the welfare and for all of us in the Kali Yuga. Now, Arjuna in text 1, he says, Mad anugrahaya paramam guhyam adhyatma samnitam yet tva yoktam vachastena maho ayam vigato mama. Now it has deep meaning. He says, Arjuna says, by my hearing the instructions which you have kindly given me about these most confidential spiritual subjects, my illusion has been dispelled. Now there are in chapter 2, the Lord spoke about, when it comes to confidential matter, the Lord spoke about that we are not the body, but we are all souls. It's a confidential information, or it's an information that should appeal to each and every living entity, and particularly the human form of living entity, because that knowing that will change the entire dynamics of how we lead our life. That's the confidential information that the Lord has revealed. The next information that the Lord revealed is that in chapter 6, he said, it's only by way of bhakti, only through bhakti, it's only by that love and affection for the Lord can one really get closer to the Lord. And there are different bhavas in which one can express, or one can engage in the service of the Lord, devotional service of bhakti. And in the last chapter, the Lord revealed that he is the essence, he is everywhere, he is the essence of all things that are there, that all things that were there, all things that are there, and all things that are yet to come. So that was the most confidential knowledge. So now Arjuna says, by hearing your instructions, which you have kindly given. So this is very important to know. Arjuna's point on saying that the Lord has kindly, provided him with this information is very important, because for us to dispel our ignorance, our avidya, it is important that we have the mercy of the Lord. It's only through the mercy of the Lord can we really attempt to becoming as the virtuous, the virtuous being that we actually are, can really be kindled, or can really be opened up, or can really be experienced only by when we have the Lord's mercy upon us. But the Lord has said in the previous chapter and in the other chapters, he said, look, I'm easy to attain. In chapter 9, he said, all that you have to show you can show your affection with whatever you have. Patram pushpam phalam to hai. Then in the last chapter, he also said that, look, that you really don't have to struggle hard. You call me, I'll be there. Right? The Lord has always insisted that all he needs is he is equal to all. He doesn't differentiate between anyone. But he says, but once anyone calls out to me, I definitely get closer to them. Right? The Lord has a special affection for all his devotees. That's why Prabhupada and all our acharyas keep saying that we must always engage in the devotee association, because the Lord, is a slave of devotees. He becomes a slave to you. While we want to take his shelter, he actually comes closer to us, and he's just ready to serve us, just as the way he stands beside Arjuna, not only as his charioteer, he's his friend. Look at the relationship that the Lord has with him. And it is not that Arjuna really understood who the Lord was until, the previous chapters. It's only slowly Arjuna is discovering who this Lord is, and we will see that in this chapter as well. But the Lord didn't bother about whether Arjuna knew he was God or not. So similarly, the same thing applies to all of us as well, to all the living entities who are calling upon the Lord. He doesn't distinguish whether it was Gajendra or whether it is, an ant or a human being or a bird. We also heard the story of Garuda, right? In the last class, whether it's a Garuda or it's a Bhrigu Maharaj, who totally, in a fit of stupidity, goes and does whatever all his other sages ask him to do. He doesn't bother about that. As long as there is karuna, as long as there is love, the Lord just pours his affection on all the living entities. So he said, you have kindly given me, that is mercy, the mercy of the Lord, about these most confidential, and my illusion is dispelled. Now, this is very important, this chapter, 11.1. He says, my illusion is dispelled. What was his illusion? That he was the body. And all the people assembled there, he had a variety of relationships with everybody in the Kaurava clan or in the Kaurava army, right? So he thought his relationship with each one needs to be respected. So he says, now I have that illusion that I had is dispelled. I know that I am as much the same Atma as the rest of them. And we have assembled here for a certain cause, and I need to fulfill the duties as is required by me in my capacity to fulfill this cause. That's what he means here. Okay. Now in the purport, I think, I have marked this. We have to read this purport. Hare Krishna, anybody wants to volunteer to read this purport?
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Yes, Mataji, Hare Krishna. Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. This chapter reveals Krishna as the cause of all causes. He is even the cause of the Mahavishnu, from whom the material universe emanates. Krishna is not an incarnation. He is the source of all incarnations. That has been completely explained in the last chapter. Now, as far as Arjuna is concerned, he says that his illusion is over. This means that Arjuna no longer thinks of Krishna as a mere human being, as a friend of his, but as the source of everything. Arjuna is very enlightened and is glad that he has such a great friend as Krishna. But now he is thinking that although he may accept Krishna as the source of everything, others may not. So, in order to establish Krishna's divinity for all, he is requesting Krishna in this chapter to show his universal form. Actually, when one sees the universal form of Krishna, one becomes frightened, like Arjuna. But Krishna is so kind that after showing it, he converts himself again into his original form. Arjuna agrees to what Krishna has several times said. Krishna is speaking to him just for his benefit. So Arjuna acknowledges that all this is happening to him by Krishna's grace. He is now convinced that Krishna is the cause of all causes and is present in everyone's heart as the super soul. Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. So with that, Arjuna continues his volley of praise of the Lord. So he says, Bhava yau hi bhutanam shrutau vistaraso maya tvattaha kamalapatraksha mahatmyam api Chap avyayam. So it's very beautiful. Oh, lotus-eyed one. He calls him Kamalapatraksha. I mean, the Bhagavatam, beautiful description of the Lord is given. Everything is lotus, I mean, he shines, his skin, radiates the effulgence of like the lotus flower. His lips, his eyes, oh my God, the beautiful description there. So here, Arjuna calls, he said, "O lotus-eyed one, I've heard from you in detail about the appearance and disappearance of every living entity. And I've realized your inexhaustible glories. That is, your avyayam, your imperishable. You're a Mahatma." He calls him Mahatma. So here, there are two things, Prabhupada's purport are important. That Prabhupada says he's the source of everything. He's already heard in 10.8. He heard this, right? Just a quick reminder, since we are on Veda base, it's easy for us to keep glancing. So 10.8, what did he say? The Lord said, "I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. I am the source of the matter and as well as the spirit behind it. Everything emanates from me. Aham sarvasya prabhu. Everything emanates from the wise who perfectly know this. What do? They engage in my devotion. This is what Lord had told him. So that's what he's repeating. And then there are also other statements that was made in chapter 7. What are they? The Lord says, "O conqueror, there is no truth superior to me." So Arjuna reminisces or recalls all these statements that the Lord had made. So some of them are important. So I'm just drawing your attention to this. "O conqueror of wealth," this is what the Lord is telling Arjuna in chapter 7. "There's no truth superior to me. Everything rests upon me, just as pearls are strung on a thread." We discussed this in detail, if you remember. Then he goes on, he says, "O son of Kunti, I am the taste." He says, "I am the taste in water. I am the light in the sun and the moon. I am the syllable Om in the Vedic mantras, and I am the sound in ether and the ability in man." And he also says, "I am the original fragrance of the earth. I am the heat and fire. I am the life of all that lives, and I am the penances of all assets." That is the Lord. There's nothing that exists without the Lord's support. "O son of Partha," and 12 and 13. "Know that all states of being be there." Even the gunas, all the gunas are also that which are manifested by his energy. Why? Because it is for us to fulfill our desires, and he has created this universe for us to experience all that we hold as desires. And he says, and this is very important, "I am in one sense everything, but I am independent." He says, "I've created everything, but I'm independent. I don't get myself involved in any of the things that happen around." He expects the individual entities to use the intellect, particularly the human form, to use the intellect and accordingly find their way back to Godhead. "I'm not in the modes of material nature." The material nature, he's a renunciate. Why would he need the material nature? He's a renunciate. On the contrary, he says, "Everything rests on me. Everything is within me." And 13, he says, "Deluded by the three gunas, three modes, the whole world does not know." And he has explained this. He said, because we think we are the doers and we are what are responsible for everything that happens, we forget to see the cause that is responsible for the existence of everything, including ourselves. He says, "I am above all these modes. I am inexhaustible." That's what he says. "I am infinite and I am nirguna." The gunas affect you because you carry your desires. He is desireless. He created this world to fulfill our desires. So 11. So that is what is important in this verse. And the other one, so Prabhupada has kind of highlighted these two things for us, that everything emanates from the Lord. He's the source of everything. But the Lord, while he creates everything for us, he is aloof from all of them. So let's look at the next verse. Is it clear? Hare Krishna? Are the two verses okay? Are you able to just recall some of the things that we discussed? Is it okay?
Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Evam etad yathatha tvam atmanam parameshwara. This is again Arjuna is going, okay, he's talking again. Drashtum ichhami te rupam Aishwaram Purushottama. I'm saying, oh, greatest of all personalities, Parameshwara, the Supreme Lord, Parameshwara. Look at the meaning that Prabhupada has given us in the meaning of each of these. Parameshwara is the Supreme Lord. Oh, greatest of all persons, I was supreme form. Though I see you here before me in your actual position, as you have described here, I wish to see you, how you have entered into the cosmic manifestation. I want to see that form. He wants to see a 3D. He's saying, I know you are the essence of everything. I know you are the glory behind everything that exists and existed and that will exist. You are the opulence. You are the radiance in everything that radiates. He said, can I see that form? I want to see that form. So, Prabhupada also says, what is the reason why Arjuna has asked for this? He says, he's inspired. Look at this. He says, Prabhupada says, he's inspired by the statements of Krishna. I mean, Prabhupada says he's fully convinced. It's not that he's doubting what Krishna has just said. He says he's doing it in order to convince others in the future who also may think Krishna is an ordinary person. In fact, many of the commentators, they use the word as, oh, Krishna, if you attend any of these vernacular language, series and all that stuff, they will just speak about Lord as Avan, even, wo hai, ye hai, Krishna ne wo kaha, in a very loose way. As if Krishna was their, neighborhood friend or something like that, as if they were, they played football or cricket with each other. So, Prabhupada says this question or this ask of Arjuna is predominantly to kind of remove any kinds of stupidity that human entities would harbor in their heads and know well that the Lord Supreme is someone who is infinite and he can't be someone that can be compared to ourselves, but someone that we must take a shelter and surrender to him. And then Prabhupada also says another thing. Here he says, so the one is Arjuna wants to see the universal form to convince others. Convince others means, whether to get convinced or at least others to know that, look, there is something more supreme in all these things than anything ordinary that you think. Krishna also understands that Arjuna wants to see this universal form to set the criterion. Not everyone can show his universal form, right? For in the future, there would be many imposters. As it is, we see so many Babas and, Mahatmas have, evolved and, they have said, oh, we are this, we are that. So basically, one should take the shelter of the Bhagavad Gita and the Srimad Bhagavatam and not get carried away by all these kind of new age Babas and Gurujis who have cropped up and who will crop up, will continue to crop up. Why? Because we are all ignorant. We don't read the scriptures or we don't take the things directly from the source. And rather we depend on something else and therefore we get carried away. So this particular verse or this ask of Arjuna is predominantly for us in the Kali Yuga, not to get carried away by imposters, but to rely on the scriptures and those scriptures that come through the succession, from the disciplic succession or the parampara. Okay, that's very important. Unless something comes from the parampara, we are not supposed to really get worked up. Anything that the acharyas have said, whether it's Ramanujacharya, Madhavacharya, whoever, it should be one of these acharyas. It can't be somebody else. So now he says, Arjuna continues 11.4, Manyase yadi tat chakyam mayat drashtum iti prabho yogeshwaro tato. Look at the words he uses. He used the word Parameshwara, he used the word, now he's saying Yogeshwara, he says Mahatma. He's completely, singing the praise of the Lord now. Yogeshwara tato me tvam darshayatmanam avyayam. If you think, now he's like, fine, he has asked something of the Lord. Very many times, we also go and ask a lot of things. At least we, in the sense, I have done it when I was a child. I'll go with a list of things. My mother says, okay, we have to go to the temple. I'll make a list. What are the things that, because as a child, as children, we are all told, you can ask, God will give you. So I'll make a big list. These are the things I'm going to ask. So I would stand before the altar and ask for things. I said, I want this, I want that, I want this. I wouldn't have studied, but I'll say, I want to do my exam well. Very, very stupid childhood days. But so now you just can't ask like that to the Lord, right? I mean, it doesn't come. You have to work for it. And here is Arjuna, who's really worked his way up to asking what he's asking. But even then, look what he's saying. He says, if you think I'm able to behold your cosmic form. So Arjuna very well understands what this 3D form is likely to be. When I say 3D, of course, today it's 3D. 3D means you're looking at the entirety in one form. So far, he wants to see all those various things in one form of the Lord. That many in one. So he knows what that many in one will look like. So he said, if you think that I'm able to behold your cosmic form, oh my Lord, so many things, oh my Lord, Prabhu, oh my Lord, Yogeshwara, oh Lord of all the mystic power, then kindly show me that unlimited. You have to request. You can't command and demand of the Lord. And why wouldn't someone demand and command? Because in love, there is no demand and command. It's only, request. Right? So he says, kindly show me that unlimited universal form of yours. So let's see what Prabhupada says in the purport. Yeah, so I wanted to read one part of the purport. So Arjuna, yeah. Can we read this purport? Anybody wants to read this part, this portion that I've highlighted?
Hare Krishna Mataji, I'll try.
Yes.
Arjuna could understand that for a living entity, that one, no? Yeah.
Yes,
Arjuna could understand that for a living entity, it is not possible to understand the unlimited infinite. If the infinite reveals himself, then it is possible to understand the nature of the infinite by the grace of the infinite. The word Yogeshwara is also very significant here because the Lord has inconceivable power. If he likes, he can reveal himself by his grace, although he is unlimited. Therefore, Arjuna pleads for the inconceivable grace of Krishna. He does not give Krishna orders. Krishna is not obliged to reveal himself to anyone unless one surrenders fully in Krishna consciousness and engages in devotional service. Thus, it is not possible for persons who depend on the strength of their mental speculations to see Krishna. Hare Krishna.
It's only through love and affection you can really see the Lord the way you want to see the Lord. And the Lord completely obliges, because I told you, he surrenders to love. It's only love that moves him. So 4 verses we saw, our dear friend Arjuna completely praising him, calling him all kinds of names, so many names he has brought, Yogeshwara, Prabhu, Mahatma, Ishvara, whatnot. Now, 5 to 8, the Lord is going to speak. Let's see. And then after that, we'll have Sanjaya. Sanjaya will speak from 9 to 14. So let's see what the Lord says. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. Pashyame Partha Rupani Shataso Atha Sahasraha Nana Vidhani Divyani Nana Varna Kartini cha. Very beautiful. The Supreme Lord, Personality of God, it said, my dear Arjuna, O son of Pratha, see now my opulences, hundreds of thousands of very divine, multicolored form. Thousands, Sahasra, thousands, not thousands. Sahasraha means thousands. Nana Vidhani, variegated. Divyani, divine. He's going to talk about the good things. The Lord speaks about all the good things. So what does he say? Arjuna wanted to see, I'm reading the purport. Arjuna wanted to see Krishna in his universal form, which, although a transcendental form, is just manifested for the cosmic manifestation and is therefore subjected to the temporary time of this matter. So this cosmic form of the Lord, or the universal form of the Lord, is temporary. It's not a permanent feature. It is manifested only for the purpose of bringing out these various creations or these universes. And we all have read in the previous chapters that everything has a time period. At the end of every yuga, a certain timeline that the yuga has, this entire manifestation goes back to the Supreme Lord, goes back into the self of that Supreme Brahman, right? So as the material nature is manifested and not manifested, similarly, this universal form of Krishna is manifested and non-manifest. It is not eternally situated. in the spiritual sky like the Krishna's other forms. The Goloka Vrindavana, all the Vaikuntha planets are all permanent entities, whereas these entities, they come, they're manifested and they're unmanifested. As far as, but Prabhupada points out, every now and then, this is the beauty of reading Prabhupada's purpose. Prabhupada time and again says, all these things are applicable to all the other people who are mental speculative, but for a devotee, it is not, as far as a devotee is concerned, he is not eager to see all this universe. He doesn't want to see all this universe form. But because Arjuna wanted to see Krishna in this way, Krishna reveals this form to him. But a pure devotee, really who's about Krishna, who's into Krishna, really does not bother whether it's a universal form or he is interested only in the Bhagavan form of the Lord, the beautiful, that bluish, blackish, complexion of the Lord with a feather, with a beautiful smile on his face and a flute in his hand with Radharani next to him. That is what they want to see. They don't want to see anything else. This universal form is not possible to be seen by any ordinary man. And you will realize why the Lord is saying this in the next verses. Krishna must give one the power to see it. It's not easy. And first of all, a devotee wouldn't want it. But if someone wants it, then, you need to be an Arjuna to be able to see it. And you also need to have that Lord's mercy as much as the mercy that Arjuna had of the Lord, right? So 11.6. So he says, the Lord continues, the Lord says, Pashyatidat Vasun Rudran, who's talking about the various things that encompasses that universal form. He says, Ashvinau Marutas Tatha Bahuni Adrishta Purvani Pashyascharyani Bharata. This is tough words, okay? So, O best of Bharatas, see here the different manifestations. He said he's the Aditya among the 12 Adityas. He said he spoke about the Vasus. He spoke about the Rudra. He says, I am the Shankara of the Rudras. So he's repeating that. He says, look, O best of Bharatas, in this cosmic manifestation, you can see Adityas, Vasus, Rudras, Ashwini Kumaras. Ashwini Kumaras are the twin brothers who are the physicians for the people in the higher planets. That is predominantly in Indraloka. And all the other demigods. Behold, the many wonderful things which no one has ever seen or heard before. So the Vishwarupa is not something that was ever shown before. And will it be ever shown later? It was said that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu revealed it, during his presence here 500 years ago. But otherwise, it's not going to be repeated anymore. That's what we get to learn from the scriptures. It was revealed by the Lord in the battle of Kurukshetra, in the battlefield of Kurukshetra to Arjuna, and it was also revealed by Lord Chaitanya, but no more is it going to be revealed. So this is very clear. No one else can really claim saying that I'm going to show you the cosmic manifestation. So even though the purport Prabhupada says, even though Arjuna was a personal friend of Krishna, the most advanced of learned men, it was still not possible for him to know everything about Krishna. Because Krishna is infinite. How much can this finite body know about an infinite, right? Here it is stated that humans have neither heard nor known of all these forms and manifestations. Now Krishna is going to reveal these wonderful forms to Arjuna. And we are also lucky because we are also reading these things because, we happen to have a Sanjaya who explained all this through his divine vision that he was gifted by Vedavyasji. And we're also lucky that, Shankaracharya scripted this for us 1200 years ago. And we must make use of it and see how much we can create an awareness amongst ourselves and help and see if we can also create this awareness for all others who would like to know more about the glories of the Lord and also our relationship with that glorious Lord. So, 7, Lord continues, he says, Ihaika astam jagat krishnam pashyadya sa characharam mama dehe gudakeshay yet chanyat drashtum ikchas. He calls him Gudakesha. So, look at the beauty between the Lord and the devotee. The devotee is praising the Lord. Devotee in Arjuna is praising the Lord. And the Lord again, in equal measure, gives all that the devotee wants. And not only that, he also finds the good things that the devotee has. He calls him the Gudakesha, one who never sleeps. He said, you're a Gudakesha. You're not an ignorant person. Just because in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, Arjuna happens to ask this question, one should not get carried away and label Arjuna as an ignorant person. He doesn't carry all this. It is just a little bit of a maya that the Lord has played so that he can give this knowledge out for the people to come in the Kali Yuga. O Arjuna, he says, translation is, O Arjuna, whatever you wish to see, behold at once in this body of mine. The Lord is talking as if he's showing everything. Actually, Arjuna can't see the form. So the Lord will tell him that, look, I know you can't see this form, so I have to give you a special vision. He'll say that in the next verse. So let's see. So, O Arjuna, whatever you wish to see, behold at once in this body of mine. This universal form can show you whatever you now desire to see and whatever you may want to see in the future. It's a 3D, remember? Whatever past, present, and the future, everything is going to be seen in the universal form. Everything moving and non-moving. Living entities and non-living entities, like trees and, hills and stones, and everything is going to see. All in one place. The last verse, the Lord says, but you cannot see me with your present eyes. He says, na tu mam shakyashe drashtum anenaiva swachakshusa divyam dadami te chakshuhu pashyame yogam aishwaryam. He says, you cannot see this with your present eyes. Therefore, I give you the divine eyes. Behold my mystic opulence. I'm going to give you a divine eye so that you can see. So, you see, when you have to see 3D pictures, you need to wear a special glass. So similarly, the Lord is giving Arjuna certain special energy or a special, feature through which he can see that cosmic manifestation. That's why the cosmic manifestation not generally shown. First of all, it will be difficult for anybody to think that it is, or it is that one Lord who kind of holds the many. It's very difficult for people to understand. And secondly, a devotee, as Prabhupada said, doesn't want to see this. He just wants to, immerse himself in the beauty of that, of the Lord, in the Bhagavan form. So again, Prabhupada repeats this. Let me see if I have marked anything for us to read here. So I'm just going to read this. Prabhupada again repeats, a pure devotee does not like to see Krishna in any form except his form with two hands. Not even the four-hand form, the two hands. A devotee must see his universal form by his grace. If at all somebody wants to see, you need to have the grace of the Lord. Not with the mind, but with the spiritual. It's not with the mind. When you want something from the mind, it's more speculative. It has to sink in, right? But with the spiritual light, the desire which needs to come from the bottom of the heart. It has to be really that super connect that we need to build with the Lord. To see the universal form of Krishna, Arjuna is told not to change his mind. Because he said, remember, Arjuna was not really discriminating and engaging his intellect in this war. He was more, he was more from the emotional angle. He was thinking more from the mind. Oh my God, here are my relatives. So that's why Prabhupada and the Lord is saying, but Prabhupada interpreting what the Lord is saying, that it's not the mind. You cannot engage in devotion with your mind. You have to get control over the mind so that your intellect takes over and you kind of, engage in that egoless connect or build that connect without any ego with the Lord. So he said you need to have the vision of spirituality. What is spirituality? Spirituality is not something which is beyond the realm of material world. It is something which is love, that sublime love for that supreme person, who is Krishna. The universal form of Krishna is not very important, but that will be clear in the subsequent verses. Yet because Arjuna wanted to see it, the Lord gives him the particular vision required to see the universal form. Now there are a couple of things that Prabhupada draws our attention. I'll just draw your attention to that. In the next verse, Prabhupada says, devotees who are correctly situated in a transcendental relationship with Krishna, attracted by the loving features of Krishna. This universal manifestation is Bhayankar. Arjuna himself will say it after he sees it. It's Bhayanak, it's Bhayankar. It has a lot of opulence, but also has a lot of horrible things as well that you may not really want to know or see or, even want to. You won't be able to. It's not something comprehensible. It is bizarre. It's horrible. Now, Prabhupada also says, the people, the various kinds of people who were engaged with Krishna, that the playmates of Krishna, all the friends of Krishna, they were like, enchanted by the beautiful Krishna he was, his guna, all his kind of pastimes that he had with them, all the fun and frolic he had with them. They enjoyed his company. And if you also look at Yashoda, she if she had known that this is Bhagavan, she wouldn't have really, got into that kind of all those kind of pastimes that she had with him, which we read in Canto 10 in Srimad Bhagavatam. All those things wouldn't have happened if the day Yashoda came to know that this was Bhagavan. Would she have had would she have had the guts or the gumption to tie him up? No. How would we have known the beautiful Damodar Leela? So the Lord actually enjoys being treated just as one amongst us. Because when you treat him as one amongst you, he's also kind of, you also are free to engage with him in that loving form that you want him to be, whether it's Dasya, Sakya, or Vatsalya, Madhurya, whatever be it. In fact, in Nectar of Devotion, we'll give you a lot more details about all the various bhavas that a devotee engages, in their relationship with the Lord. That comes in Nectar of Devotion. So I've not read it fully, so I can't explain it too well now. But the various bhavas are detailed in the Nectar of Devotion. Okay. And then Prabhupada also says, the fact is that the devotee is not concerned to see the Vishwarupa, but Arjuna wanted to see it to substantiate Krishna's statement, so that in the future, there is no one who will dare to present themselves as the Supreme. That is one thing. And another important thing is, Arjuna must confirm this because Arjuna is the beginning of the Parampara system. So this is also something to set for us, that this form has been revealed to us through Arjuna, because Arjuna is the beginning of this particular succession that has come to us in the Kali Yuga. Okay. So that's what purport is. Please read this purport. It's a long one, but I just gave you the essence of what that purport is. 11.9. So Sanjaya says, Sanjaya is going to talk in the next 5 verses, 9 to 14. Now, Sanjaya is, as you know, is the one who's presenting this to Dhritarashtra, and then we are lucky to have a Sanjaya there. Sanjaya speaks these verses. It's also to kind of see if Dhritarashtra has a change of mind. He's saying, look, you've heard so much from me, that which I have explained to you about the glories and the opulence of the Lord, and the Lord is by the side of his devotee Arjuna. And this battle, the outcome of this battle is very clear. Wherever there is a Lord, wherever there is a great devotee like Arjuna, that place is bound to have victory. So there's going to be loss. You're going to lose immensely from this war. This war is not going to benefit you. So that's what these 5 verses are a kind of a. Of course, Arjuna, Sanjaya, he's the son of the charity. He can't command and demand anything to the king. Dhritarashtra was a king, but he subtly puts things across. So this also is important. Sometimes, very many times, we also have a lot of that inner voice prompting us against doing something, or to do something which is right, but we don't listen to that. So Sanjaya represents that inner voice. Sometimes the inner voice comes from within. Sometimes that message comes in through somebody else or through some form. Very many times, when we want to do something, sometimes our elders say, not now. Why do you want to go out now? Why not tomorrow? Sometimes those things really have a lot of that mysterious or the mystic messaging that the universe gives you. So similarly, Sanjaya is that mystic message is what he's trying to give Dhritarashtra. But here it's not even mystic, it's direct. So let's see what Sanjaya says. Sanjay uvacha evam yuktva tato rajan mahayogeshwara harihi darshyam asapartaya paramam rupam aishwaram. Oh, this aishwaram comes so many times. So he says, Sanjaya says, O king, having thus spoken, Supreme Lord of all mystic power, Yogeshwara. He calls him king, but he calls the Lord the Supreme. He says, he's not calling him as Krishna there. He's saying the Supreme Lord. Because the Dhritarashtra knew him as Krishna only. No? He's not saying Krishna. He's saying the Supreme Lord. Having thus spoken, the Supreme Lord of all mystic power, the personality of Godhead, Harihi, displayed his universal form to Arjuna. Let's see what that is. He continues. Sanjaya speaks for 4 more verses. What does Sanjaya says? Sanjaya is now saying, what is Arjuna seeing? Because the Lord has given him that vision, that special chakshu. He's given him that special vision, right? So what is he? He's saying in that Arjuna saw in that universal form unlimited mouths. Aneka, various mouths. Nayanam, various eyes. Various wonderful things. Very, very many divine things, ornaments. Celestial ornaments. And bore many divine unpraised weapons. See, he's seeing the good things and he's also seeing weapons. He wore celestial garlands. All beautiful things. Many divine scent, dravyam, was speared all over his body. All was wondrous, brilliant, unlimited, and all expanding. Nothing is like, limited. It's expanding. And then he continues, next verse. And how was it? How was that entire scene? The entire scene was Divi Surya Sahasrasya Bhaved Yugapat Uttitha Yadi Bhaha Sadrishi Sa Shayad Bhashas Tasya Mahatmana. What does it mean? It was as if hundreds of thousands of suns were to rise all at once into the sky by their radiance, might resemble the effulgence of the Supreme Person in that universal form. This very verse was also used by Oppenheimer when he's the father of the atomic bomb. When he when the first atomic bomb was tried, he said, this is the same expression that he used. So very many people say that it is likely that Oppenheimer had read the Bhagavad Gita, which is true. Very many Westerners read the Bhagavad Gita. He read the thing and he used this statement. And it was very stupid of him to have used this statement there, because the atomic bomb is nothing compared to what Arjuna is seeing in the universal. And it is also said that Oppenheimer, after the atomic bomb was used, by the Americans in Japan, he was deeply disturbed because he knew the ill effects of what he did. He said, I shouldn't have discovered, or I shouldn't have put my energy into discovering this atomic bomb, which has actually not done any good to anyone. And it is said that he led a very, very reclusive life thereafter. He regretted. Wish he had really understood the Bhagavad Gita well, and probably if he had, he wouldn't have discovered this man-made disaster. Okay. Now the next verse, 11.13. And at that time, Arjuna could see in the universal form of the Lord the unlimited expansions of the universe situated in one place, although divided into many, many. Arjuna, what it means, he's seeing very many things in one place. All that the Lord has been describing so far, Arjuna had the opportunity or got the blessing of the Lord to see them all in one place. So now let's see what happens. Then he's expressing about what Arjuna has got. Arjuna has seen very many things, seen a lot of things that are evolving, a lot of things that are passing, a lot of things that are beautiful, a lot of things that are not so beautiful. And he's expressing the state of what Arjuna gets into, or he's expressing what Arjuna is feeling or going through after seeing all that he had the opportunity to see. So he says, then bewildered and astonished, tataha vishwamayo visto. He was completely overwhelmed. With what? With awe, with wonder, with amazement, with admiration. Very many adjectives you can use. His hair was standing on one end. His Roma was standing on the end. The same time this Roma stood was at that time when he slouched on his chariot, if you remember in chapter 1. And now, that time his Roma stood because he was completely covered with compassion. Compassion for something that he should not be. But here, his hair is standing, he's having goosebumps, not out of compassion, but out of that admiration and that love for all that, for that super Lord who is very many in one. Arjuna bowed, and in that state, what did Arjuna do? Arjuna bowed his head to offer obeisance. He offered his respects to that Lord, who he thought was just his friend, who he thought was just his cousin, who he thought was just someone, who was the king of Dwaraka. So he bowed his head to offer obeisances with folded hands and began praying to the Supreme. Okay. So now, I'm just trying to see if there's anything important here for us. Please read this purport. There's a very nice thing that Prabhupada says. Here, Arjuna was inspired by the relationship of wonder. In that wonder, although, I'm reading this last paragraph, okay?
Mataji, if required, we will read. You are getting
You
tired.
read?
now, So you are
Okay.
reading. So yeah.
Okay. 11.14. Why did I skip so many things? Yeah. Okay, read it, okay? So this is very nice. You can just go on reading, okay? So Arjuna said, Arjuna Uvacha, Pashyami Devam Stava Deva Dehe. Oh, look at the way he's kind of utilizing or he's talking in praise of the Lord. Sarvam Satha Bhuta Vishesha Sangam Brahmanam Isham Kamalashana Astham Rishimscha Sarvam Urgamscha Divyan. Arjuna said, my dear Lord Krishna, I see assembled in your body. Now, Arjuna, we hear more about, what Sanjaya gave us a description, an overall summary kind of a thing that Arjuna saw. But now Arjuna is going to go into detail. It's lovely to read it. So let's read the translations as much as we can. Arjuna said, my dear Lord Krishna, I see assembled in your body all the demigods, all the Devis and the Devatas that that the Lord spoke of in all the previous chapters. And the various other living entities, all other living entities. I see Brahma sitting on the lotus flower, as well as Lord Shiva and all the sages. See, everything is part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. The Prabhupada keeps saying we're all part and parcel of the. So that it literally means that everything is part and parcel in everything that is there in the material world, everything that is there in the spiritual realm, everything is in part and parcel of that Supreme Universal Lord. Yeah, I think I'm on 15, right? Okay, so read the purport. Now, 16 is, O Lord of the universe. Now again he goes on. Aneka bahudara vaktra netram pashyana. Sanjay already said that. Aneka bahudara vaktra netram pashyami tvam sarvaton ananta rupam. Nantam na madhyam na punastavadim. Pashyami Vishweshwara Vishwaru. How many names? He's using a new name. Vishweshwara. So he said, O Lord of the universe, O universal form, I see in your body many, many arms, bellies, mouths, eyes, expanded everywhere without limit. I see in you no end, no middle, and no beginning. This is what the Lord said in the last chapter. He said, I am the Adi, I am the Madhya, I am the Anta. And he's saying the same thing. He's repeating all that he has heard. He said, all that you said is what I'm seeing right now. 11.17, your form is difficult to see. Now he's kind of saying this universal form, in as much as I wanted to see, oh Lord, your form is difficult to see. And now he's talking about the not so good things. He said, I'm seeing glaring effulgence spreading on all sides, like blazing fire, or the immeasurable radiance of the sun. Immeasurable. One sun only we can't take. He's saying, he's talking about immeasurable radiance of the sun. Yet I see in this glowing form everywhere. It's not just in one place, it's everywhere. It's adorned with various crowns, clubs, and discs. Then he goes on to describe, you are the supreme primal objective. There can't be anything else. There can't be anybody second to you. And there's no one above you. He says, you are the primal objective. You are the ultimate resting place. You are the Dhamma. You are the place for everyone in this universe. You are inexhaustible. You are the oldest. You are Adi. You are the maintainer of the eternal religion, the personality of Goddess. This is my opinion. And Arjuna's opinion matters because there's only one Arjuna and there's one Supreme Krishna, and we have to take Arjuna's word for it because they can't, there's no, this is the word, just as the way there is no other, no one else other than Krishna. There's no other, devotee like Arjuna. Now he says, Anadi, you are without origin, you're Anadi, you're Madhya, you're Anta, you're unlimited. Now look at the way, Viryam, your glories, you're unlimited. You are one without origin, middle or end, your glory is unlimited. You have numberless arms. The sun and the moon are your eyes. This is very important. There's, I think, I don't know which chapter it comes. I think second canto or something. This description is beautiful of the various things, that forms the Lord's body. You have numberless arms. The sun and moon are his eyes. I see you with blazing fire coming forth from your mouth, burning this entire universe by your own radiance. It's just the radiance of the Lord. Imagine if this prakasham that we see in this world is only a radiance of the Lord, imagine what the Lord's body must be. The next verse, 11.20, although you're one, so many things in one, although you're one, you're spread throughout the sky and the planets and all space in between. O great one, seeing this wondrous and terrible form. And as much as a lot of good things were also there in that body, he says it's also terrible. All the planetary systems are also perverted. So it's not only Arjuna who saw this universal form. All the virtuous beings on different planets were also, who also got the opportunity to see the universal form of the Lord. That's what this verse, we understand this from this verse. It's not only Arjuna. If someone thinks that only Arjuna saw no. Arjuna saw it, of course, Sanjaya was also seeing it, and all the virtuous people among all the planets. Okay. So it's across the planets. So even some people from the Pitraloka and the not so good planets also saw it. So all the hosts of demigods are surrendering before you. Everyone is like, everyone, this is the way, it disturbed Arjuna. Everyone else across all the planetary systems also got disturbed seeing this form. This form is not a pleasing form, as we understand reading these verses. All the hosts of the demigods are surrendering before you. Everyone were like, Pahi, Pahi, Jagatpati. Everyone is like, praying to the Lord. Some of them very much afraid. Some of them were scared. What happened? What is it that we are seeing? They are praying with folded hands. Hosts of great sages, perfected beings are cries, all peace. They're saying, please, Lord, we can't bear it because it's too hard. Are praying to you by singing Vedic hymns. Basically, Arjuna is talking about the glories of the Lord. And we must also enjoy all that we are seeing. But then this is not the rupam that we want to really, engage in. So now he says, now he's talking about all that Lord has said. Lord has said, everything is part of me. Now he says, all the various manifestations of Lord Shiva. The Rudras, the 11 Rudras. The Adityas, the Vasus, 7 in number. The Sadhyas. Sadhyas are supposed to be people of the Pitraloka. The forefathers and the Pitraloka. The Vishwaveda, Deva, the 2 Ashvis, the Ashwini Kumaras, the Maruts are the 49 different types of the forefathers, the Gandharvas, the various singers in the higher planetary, the Yakshas. Yakshas are people, Hanuman is supposed to be an Yaksha. They are smart people, but very curious and very chanchal. Yakshas, the Asuras, the other evil people. And the perfected demigods, the people all the people, all the various administrators of the universe are all beholding you in wonder. Some are scared, some are praying to him, some are looking at him in awe and wonder. And then he says, O mighty armed one, all the planets with the demigods are disturbed. So Arjuna says, just as much as I am disturbed, others are also equally disturbed seeing this form of yours. It's gory. While there are nice things in it, there are also a lot of not so nice things in it. With its many faces, look at, imagine, because all the interliving and all of us are part of him. So many faces, many arms, thighs, legs, bellies, terrible teeth, He said, I am disturbed. I am also equally disturbed. While the rest of them are disturbed, I am also equally disturbed, he says. Now he asked for it. So anyway, he's also now saying, I'm disturbed. I don't want to see it. So now he's saying, oh, all-pervading Vishnu, seeing you with your many radiant colors touching the sky, your gaping mouths, your great glowing eyes, my mind is perturbed by fear. I can no longer maintain my steadiness or equilibrium of mind. You know, I've had enough of it. I wanted to see it. I've had enough of it. So please get me out of this. Oh Lord of Lords. Oh refuge of the world. Look again, he's praising him. He's saying, oh Lord of Lords, oh refuge of the world, please be gracious to me. Now he says, please be gracious to me, show this form. Now we're saying, please be gracious to me. I cannot keep my balance, seeing thus your blazing death-like faces and awful teeth in all directions. I am bewildered. Enough is enough. Bahut ho gaya. Then 26 and 27, he says, all the sons of Dhritarashtra. Now he's talking about what he's seeing. All the sons of Dhritarashtra, along with their allied kings, and Bhishma, Drona, Karna, and our chief soldiers, also all are rushing into your fearful mouths. Everyone is rushing into the mouths of the Lord. The Lord already said this, remember? He said, look, you are only going to fight this war because the fight has to take place. And now he's saying, I'm seeing, because the Lord said, look, I am the past, I am the present, I am the future. So the future is what he's seeing. Although Arjuna is present on the battlefield, the future is what he's seeing. He's saying, I'm seeing all of them, getting crushed between your teeth. And I see some trapped with their heads smashed between your teeth. And let me see if there's anything that I wanted to know from Prabhupada's verse. This is 27. I'm just looking into the book. Just give me a minute. 26, 27. What did Prabhupada? No, there's nothing much here. Okay. So read the purport. It's nice. But it's a short one. So read it. So now he's describing how that is. As the many waves of rivers flow into the ocean, just as the waves of rivers, we've seen the waves of this river very seamlessly get into the merge with the ocean. So he says, I see all these people getting into you, just as the way waves, merge with the ocean. And blazing mouths. So it's not easy. Evil people face an evil end. That's what it means. If you're evil, you're going to face an evil end. I also see a lot of people rushing full speed into your mouths as moths dash into the destruction, just as the moths, those moth flies which come into the, when you kind of light lamps and all this stuff, the moth flies go and, attack the lamp, right? Or at least go towards the lamp. They're attracted to it and then they meet their end also. Similarly, these people are also rushing into the mouths of the Lord, just as the moth flies. These are all metaphors that are being used just to express how it is, or how it can be, how we can, experience, without going through it, how we can imagine what things are. Now he says, oh Vishnu. He's not left any adjectives for the Lord. He says, oh Vishnu, I see you devouring all people from all sides with your flaming mouths, covering all the universe with your effulgence. You are manifest with terrible scorching rays. The Lord is manifest as good, but he's saying you are manifest with terrible scorching rays. It's beautiful. Oh Lord of Lords, so fierce of form, please tell me, who are you? I saw you as Krishna in my chariot, as my charioteer. I've played with you as my friend. I know you as my cousin. So please tell me, who are you? And he says, I offer my obeisances unto you. Please be gracious to me. You are the primal Lord. I want to know about you, for I do not know what your mission is. So he's asking two important things. He says, who are you and what is your mission? Two questions Arjuna is asking. So now the Bhagavan speaks. What does he say? Kalo asmi lokakshaya krita pravriddho lokan samahrittum ita pravrtaha rite apitvam na bhavishyanti sarve ye vashtitaha prati anikeshu yoddhaha. Says the Supreme Lord, Personality of God, it says, time I am. Who are you? Time. I'm Kala. And what is Kala? The great destroyer of the worlds. And I have come here. What is your mission? The answer is, I have come here to destroy all people. with the exception of you, the Pandavas. All the soldiers here on both sides will be slain. The Lord explains his purpose. Let me see if there's anything I want us to read from Prabhupada's. Can somebody read this? Hare Krishna? Can someone read this?
Hare Mother. Okay.
Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah. Although Arjuna knew that Krishna was his friend and the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he was puzzled by the various forms exhibited by Krishna. Therefore, he asked further about the actual mission of the devastating force. It is written in the Vedas that the Supreme Truth destroys everything, even the Brahmanas. As stated in the Katha Upanishad, Yasya Brahmascha Shastramcha Ubhe Bhavata Udanaha Pratyur Yasho Paschenam Ka Itta Veda Yatrasa. Eventually, all the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, and everyone else are devoured like a meal by the Supreme. This form of Supreme Lord is the all-devouring giant, and here Krishna presents himself in that form of all-devouring time. Except for a few Pandavas, everyone who was present on the battlefield would be devoured by him. Arjuna was not in favor of the fight, and he thought it was better not to fight. Then there would be no frustration. In reply, the Lord has said that he's saying that even if he did not fight, every one of them would be destroyed. For that was his plan. If Arjuna stopped fighting, they would die in another way. Death could not be checked, even if he did not fight. In fact, they were already dead. Time is destruction, and all manifestations are to be vanquished by the desire of the Supreme Lord. That is the law of nature. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you. This verse is a beautiful verse. Now he says, this is to all of us. This message is to all. This is something, it's a loud call to all of us. He says, Tasmat tvam uttishta yasho labasva jitva shastrun bhunksva rajyam samriddham mayai vaita nihatah purvam eva nimitta matram bhava savya sachum. Says Tasmat tvam uttishta yasho labasva. Therefore, get up and fight. So it is a call to all of us. Each one of us have our challenges. Each of us have our opportunities. He says, all of us have to do our duties, whether we like it or not. So he said, Uttishta, come on, get up and fight and win glory. Because he has, what will I get by fighting this war? He said, yeah, you will win this war and you will get a kingdom. Conquer your enemies. You're not just doing it just because you want to do it. You're doing something because you want to kind of do things which are necessary to be done because these people are your enemies. And enjoy flourishing. Because remember the Lord said in chapter 2, he said in this war, when you fight, there are two things that are likely to happen. Either you will get a kingdom and you will become a king, or you will lose and you will get onto the spiritual realm. Because anything which is done dutifully gets us punya. Anything which is not done as per the right injunctions or as per the duties that one is supposed to perform, that is what gets you the bad karma. He says, Uttishta, come on, do your duty. You're a Kshatriya. You have to do this. And you're doing this not just because you're doing it, because you're doing it to fight against the aggressors. And these are not just aggressors of you, but these are aggressors of humanity. And humanity has been created by the Lord. So he says, come on, get up and fight. And he says, what are you doing? They've already put to death. You already saw them entering my mouth. They've already been put to death by my arrangement. The Lord decides what happens in the beginning and what happens in the middle and what is ultimately to happen. He said, they're all gone already. So why are you in doubt? Because remember, he says, Karpanya dosho bhata, I am completely lost. I'm weak. I can't take a decision. This is what he said. 2.7. He says, I don't want to fight. So the Lord says, who are you? You're only doing what I intend to do, and you are my instrument. Nimitta matram, you are my instrument. Therefore, get up and prepare to fight and then glory. Conquer over your enemies and enjoy a flourishing kingdom. They are already put to death by my arrangement. And you, Savyasachan. Savyasachan, again, he's praising him. He called him Budakesha. He calls him Savyasachan. Savyasachan means, one who can, I think Savyasachan means one who is very ambidextrous. Oh, Savyasachan. You are. Don't think you are doing it. You are my instrument. Because all of us are an Atma of that Paramatma. So, shall we read this purport, Hare Krishna? It's a nice purport. We have some time. Let's read it. Anybody wants to read?
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Shall I read, Mataji?
Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Savyasachin refers to one who can shoot arrows very expertly in the field. Thus, Arjuna is addressed as an expert warrior capable of delivering arrows to kill his enemies. Just to become an instrument. Nimitta matram. This word is also very significant. The whole world is moving according to the plan of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Foolish persons who do not have sufficient knowledge think that nature is moving without a plan, and all manifestations are but accidental formations. There are many so-called scientists who suggest that perhaps it was like this or maybe like that, but there is no question of perhaps and maybe.
Yeah.
There is a specific plan being carried out in this material world. What is this plan? This cosmic manifestation is a chance for the conditioned souls to get back to Godhead, back to home. As long as they have the domineering mentality, which makes them try to lord it over material nature, they are conditioned. But anyone who can understand the plan of the Supreme Lord and cultivate Krishna consciousness is most intelligent. The creation and destruction of the cosmic manifestation are under the superior guidance of God. Thus, the battle of Kurukshetra was fought according to the plan of God. Arjuna was refusing to fight, but he was told that he should fight in accordance with the desire of the Supreme Lord. Then he would be happy. If one is in full Krishna consciousness and his life is devoted to Lord's transcendental service, he is perfect. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay, so this is the last verse for today. So he says, now the Lord says, look, everyone, Drona, Bhishma, Jayadratha, Karna, and all the great warriors have already been destroyed by him. Therefore, kill them. You're only killing their body. They've already been, killed by me. And do not be disturbed. Simply fight. You will vanquish your enemies in the battle. He's saying you're going to win this battle. And that is already ordained. It is destined that the Pandavas are going to win the battle. It's already decided. So you're only my instrument. You're only following what I want you to do to get rid of the unwanted weeds. Prabhupada in the I think the very first purport, he says, this battlefield is all about where Krishna descends in the battlefield to kind of remove the unwanted weeds, just like a gardener removes the unwanted weeds from a garden. Lord Krishna has descended there to kind of remove the unwanted things, because he wants the Kali Yuga to come. He wants things to operate in the way in which he made a scheme for all the living entities. So the Lord says everything is already decided. So it's not you who's doing anything. So Prabhupada writes, every plan is made by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But he's so kind and merciful to his devotees that he wants to give credit to his devotees who carry out his plan. So here, please understand, in the entire battle, the praise or all the glories are given to the Pandavas. The Lord does not take the credit for himself. He gives the credit to the people who he kind of makes sure enact his plans, and the credit goes to them. Life should therefore move in such a way that everyone acts in Krishna consciousness and understands the Supreme Personality of Godhead through the medium of a spiritual master. That's very important. We need to have a spiritual master from that particular parampara, from a particular disciplic succession. It cannot be any Tom, Dick and Harry. The plans of Supreme Personality of Godhead are understood by His mercy, and the plans of the devotees are as good as His plans. Because a devotee never does anything against the will of Allah. And if someone is doing it, then they're not a devotee. Very many times devotees some people pretend to be great devotees. But then they do everything which is contrary. Everything is the karma. So such people are not the pretenders, mityachara. One should follow such plans and be victorious in the struggle for existence. So whenever we do the duties in the right way, or whenever we do our duties in the way in which should be done. So does it mean, many people ask this question, okay, I have been cheated. Should I actually take action or not? Yeah, if you're cheated, you should take action. Why should you not take action? You have to take action, right? The Lord does not preventing you from taking any action. You have to do everything as much that you can afford, either physically or financially, to the last T. Do it. Don't say, I can't do this and give up. That is not an excuse that Lord really, takes to very kindly. This life is about giving your ultimate and your best till the last breath that we have. But somewhere you have to, you need to kind of may draw a line and say, okay, to what extent should we do it? That is there. And that is where our intellect comes. And that intellect helps us to discriminate well when we are in the safe hands of the Supreme. Because He shows the path, right? He's the light in our hearts. So He lights up everything for us so that, the darkness does not take the better of us. So with this, we kind of stop here, because the next set is, it's a long one. We can't stop in between. So this is the right place to stop. So I'm going to stop here. And the next class, that tomorrow we will not have a class. So we will complete this chapter next week, next Saturday and Sunday. Is it okay? Hare Krishna.
Okay, Mataji.
Yes, Mataji.
Krishna.
Then, 1 minute, Mataji. So 35, I think these verses go up to 55, I think. 55 verses. Verses. Yeah, 55. Yeah. So we'll finish this, or we'll do this in the next 2 classes, Saturday and Sunday. And then chapter 12 is a short chapter. It's a short chapter with 20 verses. So I'm looking at the dates for those of you who have to write your exams. So 29, 30, and then probably somewhere mid of May, we'll finish this chapter. And those who are going to take the Bhakti Shastri, please ready yourself. Yeah, maybe by first week of June, you should be ready for your exam. Okay. But this time we will not give a break. This time we'll continue. Though you may take 2 weeks to prepare and all this stuff, but we'll continue with the third module. Okay. Because last time, you remember, we had a long gap. This time we will not have that kind of a gap. We'll continue. Okay. Hare Krishna, any questions?
Mataji, one question. So you said that when somebody is cheating you, you can, I don't use the word revenge, like you can do it back whatever way it is possible. But there, how exactly the humility and this kind of things, there is some kind of a clash is happening. So can you just explain on that?
Yeah, today in one of the classes, one Prabhuji was saying, that it's important for us. See, the moment you carry the grudge, this comes in Ishopanishad. The moment, I think it is mantra 3, I think. It says, the moment you carry grudge, it seems a grudge, whether, of course, it builds in a toxicity in the current life, but it follows you into the next life. It follows you into the next life means you're carrying it as a baggage into the next life and because you're carrying it, it will stand to be experienced by you in the next life. So you need to really decide, what kind of grudge you want to, what battles. So what it really means is, which are the battles you really want to fight? Which are the battles you want to forget and move on? That's important. Now, it can also happen. So are we actually going to, suppose say somebody is really suppressing and oppressing us? Are we just going to tolerate that? And sometimes life throws lots of googlies at you, right? And when it throws those googlies, are you supposed to get up and fight? The Bhagavad Gita says, yes, you have to get up and fight. You don't have to really stand oppressed or suppressed. You have to stand up. And history is replete with, our own, our living, our own mankind is replete with examples of how the oppressed and suppressed have stood up to fight their battles. There's so many examples of that, and they have won. They have won. But you need to really look at the right moment for it. Sometimes we may build, a path, or we may build the roadmap for the fight, and somebody else will take it up. It may not be that everything that we aspire to accomplish or fight for may happen in this lifetime. So that's why we have to choose our battles. Don't take up all battles, but take up those battles that really, really matter to you, where you are very confident that it's wrong, where you know a wrong is a wrong. And it's logical. It shouldn't be illogical. If you're confident, for example, suppose say a builder has cheated us. So many builders are cheating us, right? Even I stand cheated by a builder. I've gone to the RERA. I have a case going on in the RERA. And the RERA judge has still not given us the orders were passed in our favor on December 14th. And the judgment has still not come. Every month I will go take an appointment in RERA with one or two of my other, co-complainants. Go meet with that RERA chairman. I stand outside his office, take an appointment. I do that. And sometimes when they do certain things, it really kind of makes you wonder, in which world are these people in? So their humility has to play a role. No, I can't go and, demand command, though I can. As a complainant, he has passed an order, I can. But some way that tolerance is needed because, you don't want to rock the boat. You don't want to really, say something which will actually, not be favorable. I know we are losing time. We have lost already 4 months. Yeah. But the tolerance is needed. And Bhagavad Gita teaches you that. I know if I had not taken the shelter of Bhagavad Gita, I would have been a very, very different person. I would have gone and fought with him. I would have really, used, all kinds of, sentences on him. But this time to come, I've visited that office 4 times. I had a lot of restraint, and I continue having that restraint. I'm thinking maybe the Lord thinks it's not the right time. And I'm waiting for the right time to come. Because I'm sure, the Lord knows everything, right? The Lord knows about that person, the builder, the chairman, and my own fight. And I will take it up to the next step as well. Let me get the order. Once I get the order, I will go to I will file a criminal complaint. I will take it up as much as I can. But at some point in time, if nothing is working, I have to probably think that money was not mine. And I have to just forget it. I somehow feel God is building up that tolerance in me. Maybe the money may not come. Maybe the money is not going to come. Maybe He's building the tolerance in me so that I don't get disappointed when the money doesn't come. Just sharing an example, my personal example, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, Hare Krishna, Mataji.
If the first
with right example, yeah.
No, it just happened handy. It came in handy. You should see the way I wrote my complaint in the first draft. If I look at it, I have used all kinds of adjectives, all the negative adjectives, all the negatives on the builder. And finally, when we had to, slice it and, modify it, because, a lot of my legal friends and all say, no, these expressions can't be used. These words can't be used. It has to be factual. It has to be logical. It has to make sense. Everything has to be evidenced. It has to be substantiated. So finally it came to some, 500 words or something. And that's what matters, because at the end of the day, a third person, all the people who are looking at it as judge or as an adjudicating officer only looks at facts. They're not going to look at, what I wrote to the builder, what the builder wrote back to me. Nobody's going to look at that. That was a personal exchange you all had with me. But everything has to be, there has to be evidence for everything, right? The court goes by evidence, right? So, yes, Mataji. But we shouldn't give up. We should do. I will go stand outside that chairman's office. April I've stood. April I went. Again in May I'll go. If he doesn't sign the order, again in May, first week of May I'll go stand. Yeah.
Yeah.
Question?
Thank you, Mataji, very much. One more doubt. Sorry to disturb you once again. So now, see, you have been saying that we have to see Lord through different angle. I mean, that is a way in which it has been explained. So what is the right way to look at the Lord, like as a friend or as a supreme, what you call Godhead, or is there any separate, specific way by which you have to see the Lord? Like, I hope my question is quite clear.
Yeah. I think each one sees it according to his nature, right? Sudama looked upon the Lord as his friend. Arjuna looked at him as his friend. Yashoda looked at him as a son. The gopis and the gopas looked at the Lord as their friend. Kamsa looked up to the Lord as his enemy. So that bhava is also there, nectar of devotion. That someone looking upon the Lord as, as their enemy. Kamsa was, if you look at Kamsa and Ravana, they were always thinking of the Supreme Lord. They were blessed in a way, though in a wrong way, but they were still getting that, that aura, the good vibes. Right? The name Narayana gives you. So it's according to your nature and what is convenient to you, or what is it that appeals to you. I know so many devotees who kind of, take the vigraha of Krishna, and, have their vigraha of the Krishna near their bedside. And so many of them have the Lattu Gopal, the little Lord with the little, with his little finger and the what do you call, dollop of butter. That's called Lattu Gopal. Some of them even create, little beds for the Lord. They have a little kind of a net, mosquito net, and a little bed, a nice bed, cushioned bed. They put the Lord to sleep. They look upon the Lord as their child. Just as the way they would want to, rock their child in the cradle, they put the Lord in the cradle and, put a little net around him. So it depends on you, Mataji, the way you want to do it. That's why so many bhavas are listed in our scriptures. So we can exercise our choice. It's as you like. And everything is acceptable.
Okay. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Any other question? Okay. So no class tomorrow, but we'll meet next week, same time. And Rajpriya Mataji, you'll get your book, I think, Monday. It has already reached your Ranchi, Jharkhand warehouse. Hare Krishna, Rajpriya Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you.
Monday.
Ji Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
A great week and Hare Krishna. Next week we'll see.
Yeah. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna everyone. See you next week.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Achha, by the way, I forgot to ask Saroja Mataji, Vishwajit Prabhuji, I think Vinod Prabhu was left. Is it okay? I hope your close book and your OBA and all is clear. The 2 OBA questions you have to
Yes, Mataji, because for us summer vacation started. As a teacher,
Okay.
summer vacation started and I get enough time, Mataji.
Okay, Mataji.
So I'm very, very confident. Otherwise, going to work, I should prepare, and
Yes, Mataji.
time shortage was there.
Yeah.
But this time I get enough time.
Very good. And shlokas also?
It's going, Mataji.
Well, okay.
Yes, Mataji. I'm also working on them, Mataji.
Very good. Hare Krishna.